Tag TV brings you daily news bulletin from India. Breaking news and views from India.
Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you. Death toll exceeds 130 in India. Bridge collapse. PM Modi condoles loss of lives. Sri Lanka's key inflation rate eases to 66% in October. And Taliban deny entry to female students on campus for not wearing burqa. And now for all the details. The death toll from a bridge collapse in Morbi in India's Gujarat state climbed past 130 on Monday as operations continue to find survivors at the site. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi condoled the loss of lives and assured there will be no laxity in relief operations.
The death toll from a bridge collapse in India's Gujarat state rose to more than 130, officials said on Monday, as operations continue to find survivors at the site. The footbridge was packed with sightseers enjoying holiday festivities when it collapsed on Sunday, plunging people into the Machu River below. CCTV footage revealed the exact movement. Authorities said more than 400 people were on and around the colonial-era suspension bridge at the time of the collapse. Some clambered up the broken structure to try to make their way to the river banks, while others swam to safety. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is in his home state Gujarat for a 3-day visit, expressed his condolences and said he had directed the state chief minister to mobilize teams urgently for the rescue operation. Officials fear the number could grow as authorities opened a criminal case into one of the deadliest accidents in the country in the past 10 years. Police has registered a criminal case against unnamed persons responsible for the renovation, maintenance and management of the bridge.
मौत सामने आ गई हमने तो देखा तो हम सभी पानी में गिर जाएंगे वो सब लोग सामने से गिर रहा है हम भी गिर जाएंगे ऐसा हम तो लगता है पर हमने ऊपर वाली दया से झाड़ी पकड़ ली और रखा सलामत हम निकल गए बाहर हम 7 आदमी थे 7 आदमी सलामत निकल गए.
The 230-meter bridge was built in 1877 during the British rule. It had been closed for renovation for 6 months and was reopened for the public last week. Gujarat-based electrical appliances maker Oreva Group was in charge of maintaining the bridge.
In news from Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka's Statistics Department on Monday said that the country's key inflation rate eased to 66% in October after hitting 69.8% in September. This comes as the government is set to introduce its upcoming budget for the next year on November 14th.
Sri Lanka's Census and Statistics Department said on Monday that the crisis-struck country's key inflation rate eased to 66% in October after hitting 69.8% in September. In a statement, the department said that the still extremely elevated Colombo Consumer Price Index (CCPI) reflected 85.6% jump in food prices in October and a 56.3% climb in the non-food group. However, the pace of food inflation slowed from all-time high of 94.9% in September. Sri Lanka has been struggling with soaring inflation for nearly a year, partially triggered by its worst financial crisis. The sustained high inflation would make it tricky for the government to introduce fresh indirect taxes in its upcoming budget for next year that will be presented to Parliament on November 14. Higher taxes are essential to boost public revenue to anchor fiscal consolidation and lock down a $2.9 billion bailout program with the International Monetary Fund.
In news from Pakistan, hundreds of people on Monday attended the funeral prayers for journalist Sadaf Naeem, who was crushed to death by a vehicle carrying former Prime Minister Imran Khan. Naeem lost her balance as she tried to climb onto Khan's truck to interview him.
Hundreds of mourners in Pakistan earlier on Monday morning gathered for funeral prayers for journalist Sadaf Naeem, who was crushed to death by a vehicle carrying former Prime Minister Imran Khan on Sunday as he led a convoy along with his supporters towards Islamabad. Reports suggest that Sadaf Naeem lost her balance as she tried to climb onto Khan's truck to interview him near the city of Gurjanwala, some 136 miles from Islamabad, and the wheels of the truck ran over her when she fell on the road. The incident prompted Khan to temporarily halt the long march that he is leading towards Islamabad to pressure the federal government into calling snap elections. As the long march resumed on Monday, PTI party chief Imran Khan in a Twitter post said, "For 6 months he has been witnessing a revolution taking over the country. Only question is, will it be a soft one through the ballot box or a destructive one through bloodshed?" he added. Khan has already announced that the marchers will reach Islamabad on November 4th to hold a rally for which the government has so far not issued permission. Since being ousted in April through a parliamentary vote, Khan has held rallies across Pakistan, stirring opposition against a government that is struggling to bring the economy out of the crisis that Khan's administration left it in. The government says polls will be held as scheduled in October or November next year. Khan says he is not willing to wait.
Moving on, the Taliban crackdown on Afghan women and girls has continued unabated. In a recent incident, a Taliban guard barred female students from entering the Badakhshan University for not wearing a burqa. The students were also reportedly beaten up for not following the norms of the Taliban's preferred attires.
The Taliban crackdown on Afghan women and girls has continued as a Taliban guard reportedly barred female students from entering the Badakhshan University on Sunday for not wearing a burqa, a garment covering the body from head to feet. Videos doing rounds on the social media showed the female students were also beaten and forced to remain outside the entry gate as they were not following the norms of the Taliban's preferred attires, local media reported. Since taking over the country in August 2021, the Taliban has banned girls' secondary schools across Afghanistan. The Taliban leadership also backtracked on promises to open all girls' schools in March. While women are still allowed in universities, they face increased restrictions on their freedom of movement and expression. Despite public assurances of respecting human rights, the ruling Taliban has enforced a series of policies that also bar women to work in most industries. No country has so far recognized the Taliban's regime in Afghanistan over the issue of girls and women's rights. The country's assets have remained frozen due to sanctions that have severely hampered banking, business and development.
Well, in news from Nepal, Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deoba's Nepali Congress has promised to resolve border issues with India in its manifesto for the November 20th general election. The ruling party has also pledged not to take unconstitutional steps such as the House dissolution.
The ruling Nepali Congress has promised to resolve border issues with India through diplomatic channels as party president and country's incumbent Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deoba, along with the senior party leaders, unveiled the manifesto for November 20 general election this past weekend. The manifesto states that the issues of Kalapani, Lipulekh and Limpiadhura with India and the Humla border issue with China would be resolved through diplomatic means. In the latest round of visits to India, Prime Minister Deoba also raised the issues of border and presented forward the stand of Nepal with the Indian government, the document states. The party has also pledged not to take an undemocratic and unconstitutional step such as the House dissolution. Current politics, continuation of newness and prosperous Nepal are the party's agendas, the manifesto states. Nepal's ties had strained with India in 2020 after Kathmandu published a political map that showed the 3 Indian territories as part of the Himalayan country. Officials of both the countries have agreed to resolve the border issue through diplomatic means in the past 2 years.
And in a bid to promote film culture, a two-day-long international film festival was organized in Srinagar city in India's Jammu and Kashmir over the past weekend. Around 30 foreign submissions were screened during the event that attracted audiences, especially youngsters, on a large scale.
The two-day-long International Film Festival of Srinagar, held in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir, received an overwhelming response from the audiences, especially youths, over the past weekend. The event opened to a jam-packed audience at the Tagore Hall in Srinagar with various folk music and dance performances held on its sidelines. Around 30 foreign submissions were screened during the festival, including short films, documentaries and music videos.
हमारे पास कोई इंस्टीट्यूशन नहीं है जहां हम बच्चों को ट्रेन करें। ऐसे फेस्टिवल उससे वो बहुत कुछ सीख जाएंगे, क्योंकि बाहर से जितने भी या इंटरनेशनल लेवल की फिल्में आती हैं, कौमी सतह की फिल्में आती हैं, वो उनको देखेंगे, उन्हें पता लगेगा, वो सीखेंगे कि फिल्म कैसे बनती है, इसका स्क्रीन प्ले कैसे होता है, इसकी कॉस्टिंग कैसे की जाती है।
हमारा फोक ट्रेडिशन है वो पूरी दुनिया भर में मशहूर है और पूरी दुनिया से लोग आते हैं हमारे कल्चर को देखने के लिए। तो मुझे मतलब बेहद खुशी है कि ऐसा जो रिवाइवल हो रहा है हमारे कल्चर का, हमारा कल्चर आगे बढ़ रहा है इन्हीं फेस्टिवल्स के ज़रिए। जो उम्मीद है उससे लोगों को काफ़ी उम्मीद भी है कि वो आगे चलते भी ऐसा ही करेंगे इंशाल्लाह।
The film festival is always built around film movement and associated activities to create a platform for movie lovers. Kashmir is considered as the cinematographer's paradise, and the natural and mesmerizing beauty of the valley attracts a lot of filmmakers to shoot their films in Kashmir.
And Hindu devotees across India and Nepal converged at the banks of rivers and water bodies on Monday to offer prayers to the sun god on the final day of Chhath Puja. The festival holds significance for married women who observe fast and stand in waist-deep water to seek blessings for their families.
Devotees, especially women in parts of India, offered prayers to the rising sun on Monday as they swamped river banks on the fourth and final day of Chhath Puja or Sun God festival. Women clad in saris were seen standing knee-deep in water at river banks in capital New Delhi. According to the tradition, devotees pray to the Hindu sun god Surya after bathing in a water body once during sunset and again during the wee hours of the next day, marking the commencement and end of the festival respectively.
सूरज भगवान के हम लोग पूजा करते हैं। सुबह में, काल में, शाम के छठ मैया के पूजा करते हैं। सुबह हम लोग सूरज भगवान की इंतजार करते हैं अर्घ देने के लिए। कहे तो महान हम लोग सूरज भगवान छठी मैया दोनों हैं। वही बात हम लोग इससे बहुत बहुत भारी महान पूजा है। ये पूजा के लिए हम लोग 3 दिन के व्रत भूखने पड़ते हैं।
Similar scenes were witnessed in eastern Bhubaneswar city, where the women were seen taking holy dip in order to thank the sun god for sustaining life on earth. Devotees believe that taking a dip on this day purifies their sins.
ये सबसे बड़ी बात ये है कि ये भगवान घर में सुख समृद्धि उत्तम स्वास्थ्य के लिए किया जाता है ये पर्व। और कहा जाता है कि उगते सूर्य को लोग सिर्फ प्रणाम करते हैं, डूबते सूर्य को। ये बहुत बड़ा एक संदेश देता है इस पर्व के माध्यम से कि सिर्फ उगते हुए मतलब कि जो राइज कर रहा है सिर्फ उसी का नहीं, जो पतन की ओर जाता है उसका भी एक दिन उत्थान होता है। एक बहुत बड़ा संदेश है।
In neighbouring Nepal, Hindu women took a dip at Kamal Pokhari, a local pond in Kathmandu city, with baskets full of offerings to the sun god to celebrate Chhath and seek blessings. The festival holds significance for married women who observe fast and stand in waist-deep water to seek blessings for their families from the sun god.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. Death toll exceeds 130 in India. Bridge collapse. PM Modi condoles loss of lives. Sri Lanka's key inflation rate eases to 66% in October. And Taliban deny entry to female students on campus for not wearing burqa. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.
Tag TV brings you daily news bulletin from India. Breaking news and views from India.